Welcome to my repair video. Today we have a LandXcape hedge cutter, and missing a sticker. I've got that in my possession. I'll put that on, and I just want to go through this hedge trimmer to identify a few issues with it before I get too deep into it. This is what I do when I get a piece of equipment that I've purchased for spares or repairs like this one. I normally look over it. All I've done so far is give it a clean to make it a bit more presentable for this video. One issue I've noticed with the fuel cap, we have an improvised seal consisting of a bit of electrician's tape. We've got an issue with a pull cord. You can see there's a groove. That was actually out when I got the trimmer. And the air filter could do with a clean. And first thing to always check is if we have a spark. If there is a spark, there is hope. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to remove the boot. And then, using the very best of our Tetris skills, I'm going to wiggle the spark plug wrench in and remove the spark plug. Got to be careful when I withdraw this because I don't want to damage the top of the spark plug. That plug looks in very good condition, possibly new. Top's a little loose. I'll just nip that up with some pliers at some stage. So I'll now reposition the machine to give it some pulls. Unless I can do it this way. The tip of the plug's got to be touching something metallic on the saw. So I'm hoping, you need a good connection. I'm hoping it'll just stay in position there. Ignition on the on position. Well, I'm removing the spark plug. The tip of the plug has always got to be touching something metallic, so we've got a piece of the casing there. So we'll put the ignition on. Don't need to do anything with anything else. We'll give it some pulls, and we are sparking, which is excellent news. So we'll then take a look at the fuel system. I have noticed here, you can see it, behind this pipe there is another fuel pipe that has a little kink in it. I'll show you from above. That has a kink in the pipe. So I'm going to replace that fuel pipe. Just going to fish the fuel filter out. Piece of wire is quite good with this. Old wire coat hanger. Can be a bit of a frustrating game. But I'm trying my best with this tool to save me having a walk to the garage. There we go. Check the fuel filter is clear. You can clean these out with a bit of petrol, swish them around a bit, or you can just replace them. I tend to blow through it. If you can blow through it easy enough with minimal resistance, you've normally got a good fuel filter. A flat blade tip for that screwdriver. So I'll remove the pipe and show you the kink. That wouldn't have done fuel flow much good. Strangling it. Now I've got a length of replacement pipe. I'm going to cut it to length using the old pipe as a guide. And you can cut a bit of a taper on these to aid feeding it through the rubber grommet, but I'm just going to have a go first. And we've done it. It's got to be a snug fit or it will leak fuel out from this area, so you do need a pipe the correct size. You can get pipe quite inexpensively. If you've got a bit of patience, you can put an order in. Like a well-known auction site, get some from China, couple of quid, good roll. So I'm satisfied the fuel filter's clean. Now, let's just give it a little push and a twist. It's resisting. Every push elongates it, opens it up. I've got a bit of petrol residue on my hands. You can wear rubber gloves if you prefer. It tends to be the last thing I think about. Now in here, I've got a piece of plastic. I think it's part of the filler cap. Yeah, that must have been connected to that at some stage in its life. I'll push the filter lower into the tank. The idea being it'll go right to that end, the far end. Push the pipe in. Now for the tricky bit. Connecting it to the carb. I think what I'll do, I'll give myself a little advantage here. And I've got a hex socket here. I'll open the end up with this prior to attempting to refit it to the carb. gained a little there. After a good bit of wiggling and persistence, we got the pipe on. Popped off a few times, but we've got there in the end. So what I'm going to do, put the spark plug back in, and then we're going to give it a restart. Okay, I've put some fuel in, and we've gone above the new pipe. You can see the line there in the tank. That's just to check that for leaks. I've had a look at the fuel cap, and I've put an O-ring behind it just as a temporary measure. It's going to need a new cork seal. I'm not sure where I can get hold of one of them, but it's quite easy to cross thread this cap. So I may have a look at what caps I've got lying around. The O-ring should put a bit of bite in it, you can see you can easily overturn it. But for the purposes of proving in the equipment, this will be adequate. So we'll see if this trimmer will fire into life. Choke lever, full choke, ignition on. Now, one thing I didn't mention, we have excellent compression with this, so I can tell that just by picking it up. This hedge trimmer, sorry. Picking it up, and you can feel it. Yeah, it is leaking, that fuel cap. That's a shame. But we want to see if it'll start, so I'll move it over to the lawn and give it a shot. Well, I've given this saw no shortage of pulls. One thing I am going to check is to see if we've got a wet spark plug, which will indicate that fuel is going through the saw to the combustion chamber. Well, we do in fact have a wet spark plug. I'm not quite sure what's wrong with this one. Well, I've removed the air filter cover to discover that the choke isn't fully covering. I think an adjustment will be required if I can achieve it. You can see there's a gap there. That's for full choke, so that would be a good explanation as to why the saw is not starting. Well, it's been a bit of a voyage of discovery, this one. I'm not sure if that is standard equipment, one self-tapper, a couple of washers. But the problem is the choke lever is fouling on the throttle stop screw. So, just to prove if the engine works, I'm going to screw that down and see if we can take the slack up on the other end of the adjustment. See, the choke's fully covering now, so hopefully it will restart. Well, with the choke recalibrated, we will give it some pulls. And a bit of gas. No joy. Oh, it's fired into life. Got a few issues. Yeah, we've definitely got a few issues with this hedge trimmer. It's fired into life. The throttle seems less than responsive, but at least we've proved that it will run. I think the next step could be a carburetor clean. So I'll remove that and have a look. Well, I thought I'd give you an update on this hedge cutter. Done a couple of things. One thing I've done is I've reduced the length of the throttle stop screw so the choke lever engages correctly. I've cleaned the air filter out, give it a good wash in the sink with some fairy liquid, and while I was doing that I noticed this screw here wasn't as tight as it could be, so that could have a detrimental effect on the running of the hedge cutter. It could allow a bit of air leakage in there, which will alter the fuel to air mixture on the carburettor, so I've held off on that change. I've got it idling, it's still a little bit boggy, but I tweaked the mixture screw ever so slightly and that seems to have made all the difference. We've also replaced the fuel cap. I had one ordered from our friends in China and it took a while to come, but we've now got it. That's a considerably better fit. There's just one job outstanding, which is this. What I'm going to do with that, I'm going to put the insert in correctly, just retract it with a bit of adhesive. I'm thinking about using JB Weld for that, and then the plastic there where the ropes chafed it, I'm just going to push that back down on top of the adhesive, so it's like a mixture of adhesive and plastic. If that's held in place, I'm going to rough that up slightly before I glue it for best results, just with a bit of sandpaper, and we'll consider this one done. Thanks for watching, and if you'd be so kind as to like and subscribe for more videos.